Hey, what's up, guys? Tukey here, back again with another episode of my Seattle Mariners franchise mode series right here on MLB The Show 19. Now, for those of you who saw the length of the last episode and said, you know what? Screw that. I'm sure he makes a ton of trades and I'll see the roster once he's done. Well, then the beginning of this episode is for you because that is indeed what went down as was promised. Now, despite being 3 games under 500, initially, of course, the goal was, oh, okay, maybe if we're doing okay, maybe we go for it and just try to make the best of it. And the month of July was pretty goddamn brutal for us. We're 16 games out in the division. We are 7 games back in the wild card. It wasn't going to happen. So it was the right move to make moves, and again, make moves we did. You see all the names of the players involved that were dealt. Of course, I do things long term, right? Or not long term, but long form. I want to give you guys a chance, and of course there was at least one comment in the last episode that kind of proves my point. I want to give you guys a chance to see the entire process. You can skip ahead if you don't want to see it, but there are people who are like, oh, okay, shit, you could have done that trade. That would have been much better. And then I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, shit, you're right. Funny how that works. So, I prefer to do things long form. That said, the start of this episode is for you as we're going to get a look at what this team is now. Again, catcher-wise, we're going with Jose Lobaton at this point and Joseph Odom. The good thing is we did acquire Miguel Amaya, who should be our catcher for the future. First base-wise, it's a little bit rough, but for now, we're going to be relying on Nick Pratto to lead the way. He is our only real prospect there. Second base-wise, we did end up signing Tetsuto Yamada, so he is the main man there at 26 years old. Of course, Brandon Phillips is just a stopgap. Third base-wise, looking a little bit better. Jonathan India, the potential 22-year-old, 66 overall, and Sherton Apostle also there as well. Needs a little bit more work. Shortstop-wise, Yolbert Sanchez is there, as well as Marte and Robert Poisson. So, needless to say, our infield depth right now in terms of prospects looking pretty damn good. Left field, of course, we still have Domingo Santana. The big acquisition, I'd say, was Eloy Jimenez. Absolute monster, of course. In center, Smith is still here. We still have Kelenic there. Cespedes, I believe, was also acquired. I mean, you can see the depth there, and mainly, of course, it's funny as hell that Kyler Murray's still there, but mainly it's because the free agent list was just, it was waiting to be rated, and rated we did. Ubayashi also signed as a potential outfielder for the future, so needless to say, not all these names will stay over the next few seasons, but we'll take the best and move on from the rest. In terms of starting pitching, it could be worse, but we have the big 3 here. We're still going with Mike Very Polish, Marco Gonzalez, and Yusei Kikuchi still there. The question was whether or not we look to trade Felix Hernandez before the deadline just to let him go to a team that's probably going to make it. The issue is, I don't even know if we're going to be able to trade him with how much money he's making. I don't know if he's tradable. In terms of prospects, though, at this point, I mean, Gabe Moya is there. Justice Sheffield is kind of the big one. Justin Dunn also there. Gilbert. I mean, we have some decent guys, and of course this first-year draft was very heavy on starting pitchers for us. That's where we're going to make up a little bit of ground. But that is the state of the roster at the moment. So the one thing we're going to do here, because this is going to be a very off-season heavy episode, I would imagine, and of course it's going to be the trend until we get this team into a more competitive state. The last episode, again, it was, oh, okay, there's no rules, so let's go for it. We did. This episode, we'll see what lies ahead for us in our first off-season. Is there a single trade for Felix? There is! There is at least one. Blue Jays, Angels, Rangers, Cubs. Okay, there's quite a few. I mean, granted, I can't see if they're competitors from here, which is kind of a shame. Oh, God, and it's not like any of these trades are that great. They're really not. It's here. Take somebody else for no reason. Like, at least with the Ryan Braun offer, send me a prospect who could actually be something. Oh, God. You know, Felix, I would really love to send you somewhere, but that's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen because I'm not going to get anything back for it. So, unfortunately, you're going to be here for the rest of the year, which, hey, you're playing for future contracts, right? You got that going for you. Funny enough, we have to sim a day ahead. We'll auto-fix the AA lineup. We have to sim a day ahead just to be able to see some of this info, although the trade block, of course, is full. But I wanted to get you a look at what the roster is looking like right now. Humble beginnings for this series, and I think in terms of contract extensions, we're just going to wait until the offseason. We might as well. So let's go ahead, see how everything goes down. Double A lineup doesn't have anything. The Braves are offering me a trade. No, I'm not trading Kikuchi. That's not gonna happen. Austin, ooh, boy, I knew Austin Riley was good. I didn't realize he was that good. Right, that could change things. Wilson's not that great, but do I trade Kikuchi, who, here's the issue, by the time we're ready to go, how old is Kikuchi going to be? He's probably going to be on the wrong side of 30 by the time we're ready to go. So that's the one thing that's a little bit scary. To be able to pick up Austin Riley, I mean, right now in terms of third base prospects, again, we do have the likes of India, Apostle's there, and again, we have some shortstop prospects as well, but hell, we could move Austin Riley over to first base if we really wanted to. I honestly think that's too good of a deal to pass up on. As much as I'd love to keep Kikuchi here, I mean, hell, Marco Gonzalez and Mike Very Polish, we could move on from. I know we just acquired them, but we could move on from them just to try and get something back, because I don't know when we're going to be ready to be competitive. A prospect the caliber of Austin Riley, I think that's too good to pass up. I would love to keep Kikuchi. Of course, he just signed with the Mariners, but again, by the time we're ready to go, he's going to be on the wrong side of 30, and he's not exactly having an amazing season this year. He's on a great contract, but of course he's going to be pissed about that contract for the next 3 years. I got to take that. Austin Riley, welcome aboard. Never expected a deal of that caliber, and to be honest, it's now getting me to think, why not see what we can get for a Very Polish. I mean, hell, even Domingo Santana, he's going to be on the wrong side of 30 by the time we're ready to go. I mean, this roster, these are our top 5 players. It's not looking very good, but there could be something here. There really could be. Rio Ruiz, okay, that's not looking as good. I genuinely wonder if I pair Marco Gonzalez, who is having a Cy Young caliber season, with Mike Very Polish. I'm surprised the trade value isn't higher. But if I were to pair my top 3 players, who the hell could I get is the question. Xander Bogaerts is there, Devers, Scooter, Jeanette. I'm intrigued. Severino's 25, Gleyber Torres is 22, A and a 70. Man, Gleyber Torres would be ridiculous. I don't know if he's worth all 3, but goddamn, that'd be pretty nice. We might have to go back and discuss some things with the Yankees. Nate Pearson, Teoscar Hernandez, Devin Travis. Tellez and Reed Foley, obviously that's not quite in the same stratosphere here. Do we have another solid A prospect? That's the standard right now. I need to see that A grade. Joe Adell, Bedrosian, Taylor Cole, not quite there. Maitan, Anderson, still not quite there. I think the Yankees have the best offer for us. I wasn't expecting on making this move. And honestly, that offer from the Marlins isn't bad, but again, we already have an ungodly amount of outfield depth. But, god damn, Kingery and Arrieta, not really interesting. We could make one hell of a deal here with the Yankees. That is a possibility. I don't know if it's worth it, necessarily. Jack Flaherty's 23, A and a 78. You deal Polish, you deal Gonzalez, both of whom are going to want big-time contracts at the end of the season, and we pick up somebody who should be an ace, I would hope. Unless his development pattern really dies down, he should be an ace. And then Urias is 22, A and a 74. Flaherty is a monster. Urias is a monster from the Padres. Denilson Lamet, unfortunately, not that great. Steven Dugar's there. So I think that comes down to, either, I think I'm going to do this, I got to be honest. Again, completely unexpected. I thought we'd do a little bit more simming already. But the Cardinals with Flaherty, 23 A and a 78. 25 A and an 84. Or Gleyber Torres. Now, Severino is already being paid, but it's a pretty good deal. And then Torres, 22 A and a 77. I think we have to do this, and it kind of sucks to stack the Yankees, but there's no way they're going to be able to keep all of them. The money is going to crush them. These guys could end up being free agents. Like I said, I don't know if we're going to be competitive in 3 years. I think it might take a little bit longer. We're going to be relying on a lot of prospect development. But Severino, leading the charge as our ace, heading into a playoff push by the time we're ready. It's not a bad way to go. I mean, again, 23A and a 78, 25A and a 70, or an 84. Is Flaherty going to go up by 6 overall in the next 2 seasons? Maybe. Tough to say. We could get Severino, who, of course, is already being paid highly now. You know, it comes down to Severino or Flaherty. I got to be honest, though. I think I like Flaherty, just because there's a better chance of him, you know, being ready, as opposed to being like 28, 29 by the time we're ready. He's going to be like 26, 27, and we're going to have a chance to really go for it. I did not think I was going to do this, but Mike Very Polish, Marco Gonzalez, and Domingo Santana, I'm going to flip all 3 of them to the Cardinals. 3 for 1 for Jack Flaherty, as we're going to pick up the man who should be the ace for this squad by the time we're ready to go to the playoffs. And again, there's no way we're going to be able to deal Felix or Mike Leake. They just make too much. I think we're set. I mean, again, even someone like Randall Delgado we just signed. So, again, another example of a completely unplanned move that goes down. But overall, I'm okay with it. We are going to play Riley in AAA. We'll play India in double. And we'll take it from there. And then we just have to fix the starting pitching. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Moya, who is already on the 40-man. And I'm going to call up Eric Swanson. I'd rather not have Justice Sheffield there, so that's going to be the deal. So we have 4, 5 with Bergman in AAA, 6 with Northcraft, even though he's hurt. Apparently Bryce Wilson's already on that roster, so congratulations, Swanson. You're going right back down to AAA. Northcraft will go right back down to double. That's 3, 4, 5 with Cloyd. Can't send him down, so 5 there. And 6 with Danish. And we should be good from there. So, even more changes. Technically, we're a man short, and I don't know what the hell we're missing. It's an outfielder. That's what we're missing. It's going to be Jimenez, Smith, and, I mean, Ichiro's already there. Who else do we want to call up? Ubayashi? Could be Ubayashi. And will be. So, congratulations, sir. To the majors you go. Robinson will go to AAA, and this dude will go to AA. There we go. The roster is now set. Let's move forward now that we've torn down this team a little bit more. No, keep simming. Get me past that situation, please. No messages. I know there's the whole post-waiver deadline, and we could still do whatever, but I don't care. We're fine. For now, we are fine. Just sim. Our team is terrible. The fact that we've won a couple of games this month is hilarious to me, because that should not be the case. But for now, I'm good with it. Let's just breeze through the rest of this season. The funny thing is, I mean, at one point, just moments ago, we were only 2 games under 500. A massive losing streak ends that. We're at 66 and 72, 21 games back in the division. And as far, I mean, just look at the state of this team. Jack Flaherty is here, which, is pretty nice. But just the state of this team. It is going to be just a little bit before we go anywhere. I do need to call up another starting pitcher here. 3, 4, and is there an injury or? Yeah, Wilson's hurt. Okay, well, let's call up Swanson again, as planned. And I think we got to call up 2 dudes for AAA. There might be, I'm not sure if it's a pitching injury or what, but let's call up Northcraft. Let's call up Ashcraft. Northcraft and Ashcraft. Why the hell not? Sam Carlson can get to go to a double-double, and Sanchez can go to a double-double. So there we go. The roster's set. I'll let the AI handle it from there. Shouldn't be that bad. September call-ups are in 1 day. Not too concerned. AAA Ball Club misses the playoffs, which isn't shocking. The AA Ball Club wins their division. Also, not all that shocking, given what the roster is and the amount of talent we have down in AA. That said, they are bounced in the first round. So, I can't say I am surprised as we finish this year with a 79-83 record. No playoffs for the Mariners in year one, to the surprise of absolutely nobody. Tampa and Boston in the wild card to win. The winner plays Houston. The right to earn a chance to take on Houston. I could have phrased that a little bit better. Cleveland and New York in the other ALDS matchup. In the NL, it's Philly and Atlanta in the wild card. Winner plays Los Angeles. You have the Cincinnati Reds and the Washington Nationals in the other matchups. Just to take a look, we finished 22 games back of the Astros. The Indians take the Central. Yankees, Red Sox, and Rays all make the playoffs. There you go. In the NL, the Nationals, Braves, and Phillies all made it. The Reds took the NL Central by 1 game over the Cubs, and the Dodgers comfortably win the NL West. As far as the league leaders are concerned, I mean, we can just take a look at the awards. As Kyler Murray tore his MCL. I think the perfect situation would be him suffering a career-ending injury, and I'm not saying that to be morbid, but it would take him out of the equation, which would be pretty nice. Corey Kluber ended up winning AL MVP, and all goes to Rhys Hoskins. Cy Young to Kluber, and Max Scherzer. Batting title to Jose Ramirez and Justin Turner. Reliever of the year, Roberto Osuna and Sean Doolittle. Rookie of the year, Fernando Tatis and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Hank Aaron Award to Tommy Pham and Joey Votto. And as far as the Gold Gloves or anything like that, does anybody really care? I don't know if they do. As a quick look for anybody that cares to see who led the AL, and at the very least in certain categories, now is your time to take a look. And I mean, at the very least, it'll give you an idea of how some of our players did this season, even though, let's be honest, we're going to give our guys a little bit of a break in terms of what this team looked like this year. I don't even know if it's worth looking at stats. For the most part, if you really think about it, it might just be worth saying, you know what, guys, good job, you tried. And I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. I mean, what is the point in being like, okay, well, first and foremost, Wade LeBlanc had a tremendous ERA despite a 9-8 record. Felix had a great season, all things considered. Leak was okay. Flaherty was okay. He's up to an 82 right now, by the way, due to morale. He's actually an 84 already, so Jesus Christmas, that was a hell of a pickup. He is an 84 overall at 23 years old. I think that was a smart trade. And then Moya's there as well, only 62 innings pitched. I mean, the bullpen, all things considered, it could have been a hell of a lot worse. That's all I'm going to say. And as far as the lineup is concerned, Smith with that 254 average, fine by me. Right? Fine by me. You look at what he did for Tampa last year. He was a hell of a lot better, but you know what? I forgive you. Eric Ibar was terrible. Jay Bruce didn't hit the ball often, but when he did, it went pretty far, so he's got that going for him. Jimenez had a pretty strong season, all things considered. I mean, again, he's still just 22 years old. Ben Paulson was actually really good after we signed him as a free agent. Ubayashi was okay. Yamada was pretty good, just going off of base stats, of course. Dominguez and Lobaton, Ichiro, 268 average and just 97 at-bats. Pretty much a guarantee that he retires. But of course, so much of the Major League roster was just, players to fill out spots. So, not really too invested. The Cleveland Indians have won the 2019 World Series, beating the Cincinnati Reds. So Cleveland beat New York in 4. They beat Boston in 5, and then beat Cincy in 5 to take the whole damn thing, as Carlos Santana was World Series MVP, postseason MVP Jose Ramirez, and Joey Votto. So Votto did everything he could to get the Reds to the World Series, but in the end, it was not enough. And that concludes our first season with the Mariners. We have quite a bit to do. We do say goodbye to Ichiro Suzuki, an amazing talent all around. CC Sabathia also calls it a career. Albert Pujols. We'll see. Curtis Granderson. We'll see who ends up being in the Hall of Fame. If it's a given, much like it was last year as far as the same few people retiring. And it is Ichiro and Albert Pujols, both Hall of Famers. Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. So that brings us, again, to free agency. Now, the good thing is we've had a couple of our coaching staff's contracts expire. Again, I don't want to necessarily fire anybody. I'm going to try to save money as much as I can. And let's be honest, it doesn't really matter because we're going to be terrible over the next few years anyway. So first base coach, We do want to get somebody, preferably with no negatives, and at least if you have a negative, have it not be anything overly ridiculous. I mean, the -1 durability, that's okay, but, I mean, the first guy I'm looking at here would have been Ernest Ellison, who, I mean, the pluses aren't really what I'm looking for, I gotta be honest, Ernest. Stealing, reaction, durability, and fielding from one Kevin Cash. The bright side, too, he's 38 years old. He's 30 years younger than Ellison. He has that going for him. I still wish the attributes were sorted, the attribute grade were sorted, but, that's fine. We can't change anything really about franchise mode, even something, a quality of life thing like that. Speed, reaction, durability, accuracy, stealing, reaction, durability, accuracy. I mean, again, with Fernandez, the shitty thing is he's 62 years old. I mean, so we have some options here. None of these guys are really great, I gotta be honest. It's either gonna be Mullins or Kevin Cash, and I think I'm just gonna go for Cash. No batting changes, but at least we'll be a half-decent team defensively. If he signs, let's go $1 million a year over 4 years. No real guarantees that it helps anything. But, I'm gonna offer him a little bit more. Let's go $50K a week over the next 4 years. Which is, it's a little bit much. But we'll see what he can do. And then it was also third base coach, indeed it was, that we need to bring back. And on that side, if it's the same group of people, the decision's pretty easy. And indeed it is, again, the same group of people. Tommy Lasorda, huh? Tommy goddamn Lasorda. I am tempted. However, I think the guy to go with here is Brucey boy. What have they done to you? Mark Mullins would be the guy. Tony La Russa's available too. But why do you have minuses? Why do the real world people have minuses? They're so much better. Oh man, I could bring in Thad. Good old Thad or Greg Dew. Greg Dew. What a name. We're going to go for Mark Mullins. Again, 38 years old. Let's go 45K a week. And hopefully that works. And as far as exclusive negotiations are concerned, leave me alone. I don't care. I mean, with Felix, we have to let him go. I hate to say it, but we have to let him go. He wants $4 million a year. Is he worth that? Probably. But it might be better to just let the man go. Let him try to be successful. Jose Lobaton, obviously, we're going to let go. We might be able to... He's not bad. We're going to have to fill that role. We might even bring him back, but for now, he's gone. Ben Paulson, Pedro Alvarez, Tyler Colvin. These were all guys, of course, that we signed to fill out the roster earlier, so they're all gone. Lobaton, we're going to let walk. We're going to decline the option on Paulson. We're going to decline the option on Alvarez. Decline the option on Colvin. Arbitration eligible. Just get off on my team. Second base, Brandon Phillips. He looks so short. We won't do anything there. Shrimp will decline the option. That's how we got most of these guys to sign. Matt Dominguez was actually pretty good. 227 average. I'm still gonna let him go for now. We'll see who else is out there. I really don't want to commit to anybody. Shortstop-wise, Eric Ibar, you're not coming back. So it mainly comes down to pitchers. And, of course, we signed a lot of these guys on team options. I don't really even care if half of them were decent. We're just going to drop all of them, including Gregory and Fonte. Swarzak's 34. Guerin, you can go. And Feliz can go. So the big thing is whether or not we bring back LeBlanc or Felix. And I mean, LeBlanc had an amazing season, but I'm going to drop him. It's just, do I want to bring back Felix? And you know what? It's time for a new era. He's not going to win here. If we see him on the free agent list, then sure. But for now, we're going to let him go. Mullins is on as third base coach. Cash is on as first base coach. So we are good to go. Felix Hernandez, we say goodbye. Much like we said goodbye to Ichiro Suzuki. It had to be done. It had to be done. So we will continue onward to the beginning of free agency. We have all the money in the world to spend, which is tremendous. Unfortunately, the free agent class isn't anything overly outrageous. In terms of catchers, I mean, Yasmani Grandal, but he's 31 years old. The only real reason to sign him would be to attempt to try and flip him, which is a dangerous play with him being 31 and wanting a lot of money. So there is not anybody there that I'm eager to sign. We can wait it out and get somebody on a cheap deal down the road. So yeah, there is no reason to sign anybody here right now. Wait until the asking price comes down, make the most of it then. Herbert's, I mean, if he wasn't a 50, he could be worth it. First base wise, Edwin Encarnacion dropped 8 overall points, which is not surprising. And again, same situation here. No reason to sign somebody whatsoever. We do have roster spots that we need to fill out, but I'm not going to overpay people to get to that point, because if it's another situation where it could be worth flipping them, the more money they're signed to, the more difficult that is to accomplish. So again, Chris Owings, I'd love to sign you, but that's not going to happen. Wilmer Flores, do we have any prospects? Abraham Arturo, but he's a D potential. Damn shame. Damn shame. Could be a really good AAA guy, but, you know, just because we have to fill out the roster, I'll try to sign him for like $100K. He could be a decent AAA option for us, maybe even a bench option, like as a ideal pinch runner. There we go. Steve James, B potential, out of Arkansas. Definitely look to sign this guy. Give him a little bit more just to try and influence him. Anybody else? Andy Weber, C potential, no thank you. Nobody else there. Third base wise, Josh Donaldson. I don't think we're in the market to sign a 34-year-old. Call it a, call me out for that wrong decision, if you will. But I think we're going to hold off there. I wish Ken Sasaki was a higher potential. Rondon isn't bad. He's not, you know what, we're actually gonna bring this guy on just to have a little bit of minor league depth. And B potential for Espinoza, we might as well sign him because he might be worth something in terms of trade value. Tim Thorman, it's not going to happen with him. Like, he and Ojeda are fine, but, you know, we don't have to jump to sign them. Shortstop-wise, again, not a great free agent class by any stretch of the imagination. We will absolutely look to sign Glenn Rodriguez, who could be worth something for us. And even Palario here could be worth it, especially on a one-year deal. Outfielders, Carlos Gonzalez and Matt Kemp are the top two. That really shows you how bad of a situation we are in right now. Robles is not worth signing by any stretch of the imagination. And the good thing is, I mean, normally I wouldn't say it's a good thing. Javon Ward, I will actually sign you for the year. I was going to say, the good thing is there aren't any top outfielders, which is normally never a good thing. But with the amount of outfield talent we already have in the system, there are already too many guys vying for too few spots. Weird combination to say, although Reed Glass, we will definitely send an offer to. Too good to not to. And then Ryder Green is someone where it's like, if we didn't have the prospects that we already have, we might send him an offer. Abisail Garcia, I mean, we're not going to sign any of these top guys right now. I don't know when. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when we send out some offers. Jorgensen's not bad, but we'll hold off. And I think we're pretty much good there. So a very, very rough free agent class. Closer-wise, Will Smith is a monster. But there's no point. Because the more money I have to sign him to, I mean, he's looking for $10 million. That's still a movable contract. By the time, though, like, it would pretty much be sign him and then try to flip him. It's pretty much what it would be. Which, you guys said no rules on that front. So, I have all the money in the world to pay him. It's just, how much would we still be able to get if we have to move a $12 million player? The problem with that is I think his value would just drop way too much. And I don't think we'd be able to get anything half decent back for him. So it's pretty much not worth it, unfortunately. Same with Chiswick there. It's not going to happen. So we will go prospect hunting, see if we have anybody. And unfortunately, that's not looking to be the case, which I'm not really surprised. I don't recall even like in last year's game it being very beneficial to look for prospects as far as relievers are concerned. That is what the draft is for. That's why they throw relievers at your face every draft. And right now, nobody. All I can think about right now is the fact that there are going to be some people who are very upset that I traded away Mike Very Polish. But I think you guys would understand why. Bumgartner, I mean, there's just nobody here. So again, we are prospect hunting to the upteenth degree. And in terms of starters, oh, Irizarry looks so good for a second, and then you see the potential. Same with Ayers. Fryman. Let's see if we can sign you, buddy. You're not bad for a C potential. You can at least help fill out the roster and maybe be a decent fifth option down the road. Potentially. Unlikely, but potentially. And yeah, Ortega was looking half decent. Starlin Castillo is looking more than half decent. We will throw a lot of money your way, sir. Please sign with us. And with that, that's all we're going to be doing in terms of free agents. So, I have a lot to sort out here, which I'm going to handle. We'll jump cut it, and I'll give you the update on what's going on. All right, we're back. We're good to go. Let me give you a quick look over what's gone down with this roster before we move on with the rest of the offseason. So as far as catchers are concerned, Amaya is the only guy we're holding on to aside from Cal Raleigh, who I actually forgot that we sent an offer to, but he's going to be a double-A guy for us. First base-wise, obviously Nick Prado is being brought back. The other two are being dropped. Second base-wise, we have two guys being offered deals. Yamada is going to stay, as is Cesar, as Torres. And you could argue like Tim Lopez might not be that bad to keep, but we can find better options. Third base-wise, Austin Riley, Jonathan India, and Joe Rizzo have all been sent deals. Shortstop, we have Sanchez, Poisson, and that is it. Left field, Thompson Williams are going to be dropped. Center field, I mean, basically everybody is being offered a deal, because why wouldn't they be? And in right, Ubayashi, Rodriguez, Stowers, and Laura. Again, our outfield is relatively stacked. In terms of pitchers, Alane is being dropped. I mean, most of the relievers are being dropped. Gerber, Brennan, and Hoffman are the only three being brought back. And in terms of starters, Jack Flaherty, we're going to get him on a one-year deal. It's more of a renewable thing before we move into arbitration years. And we'll try to avoid handing him the big money. But pretty much what you would expect, I'd say, based off of people's ages, the potentials. We're bringing back who you would expect me to bring back. And in terms of arbitration, it's down to Smith, Tuivala, and Altavia. Colvin is going to be dropped. So we are good to go. We're not in danger of losing anybody. Again, we are absolutely going to have to fill out this roster, but in due time, I say, as our reliever was claimed by Cincinnati, which is no sweat off my back. So we'll take a look here at what's happened, if anything. Actually, that is not what I wanted to do. I just want to go to all transactions. I mean, in terms of any signings, I mean, right now you just have the re-sign phase, right? I mean, nothing too crazy. All things considered, Rhys Hoskins ended up going back to Philly on a super cheap deal. So I'll be intrigued to see if anybody else ends up being available. Just one pending offer left with Rondon, so I do believe we have gotten everybody else, and that is indeed the case. So basically everybody that we've sent an offer to, from what I can tell, ended up signing. So we did a pretty damn good job there of rating the free agent list. Chisek, I always forget how to pronounce it. He ends up going to the Giants. The Marlins are offering a trade for Victor Mesa. I am not giving up Nick Prado. He's still our top first base prospect, so it's going to be a no from me. Will Smith goes to Atlanta. Madison Bumgartner goes to Atlanta, so the Braves are definitely making a push. Not too bad. Josh Donaldson to Arizona. Not too bad. So Altavia right now is the only holdout. We sent him a 4-year deal, which admittedly I was a little bit hesitant about. And right now it's, I don't know, it's going to be close to see whether or not he signs. I'm going to offer him a deal. Let's give him like $800K a year. At least it's still going to be a very movable contract, even if he doesn't improve. That was pretty much the goal. So we'll sit him a couple of days. 40-man must be set. I mean, we're good to go. Unfortunately, we do have some of our prospects who are locked onto the 40-man, so that's a little bit difficult, as Altavia has signed, so we are good to just breeze through the rest of free agency here. Of course, we'll pretty much set up the roster once we get the spring training, but we do have the Rule 5 coming up. It'll be nice, unlike in the Cincinnati series, to be able to claim at least a couple of people, and obviously we will have the space to do so. So let's see. Blake Parker is the top free agent remaining. Like I said, a lot of these guys, too, the money, I'm sure, will be down. Mackenzie Gore and Will Myers for Jack Flaherty. Absolutely not. And again, nothing else to worry about here. Moving forward, just keep simming ahead. We're looking good. Or at least that's a relative term. Our team's terrible, but give it time. Give it time. So we get to the Rule 5. Let's see what we can do here, and if there is anybody worth claiming. Now, in terms of B potential guys here, let's just take a look. So catcher, there's nobody, obviously. First base, nobody. Second base, Sherman Johnson. I mean, well, Logan Morrison might not be the worst claim, I suppose. Phillip Evans, absolutely not. This is not looking like we're going to be claiming anybody here, unless there's a half-decent pitcher. I mean, like Tyler Lyons, we could claim just to have somebody on the roster, but I'd rather just sign a free agent on my own. So, yeah, Chad Kuhl is like the only guy. Banda, maybe. Yeah, we're going to pass. We are absolutely going to pass. That is the weakest selection of players I've seen for a Rule 5 in God knows how long. So, we're fine on that front. Hopefully this is done, please. Thank you very much. So, that was incredibly disappointing. Let's go over to arbitration. We don't have anything to worry about. Huge trade for the Mets. Anthony Rizzo acquired for Jed Lowry and Dominic Smith. Interesting. Must be the Cubs just trying to shed salary more than anything, but Rizzo to New York. And that is it. So to renewable contracts we go. And we have nothing to worry about. So, better yet, to spring training we go. The Rockies just offered me a deal. I have no idea what the hell it was. It didn't let me see what the hell it was. That was kind of weird. Not going to worry about it. Hopefully it didn't go down as an accepted trade. That would break my goddamn heart. And I don't believe it did. So obviously, we have some spots on the roster to fill, but this is the core right now of the Seattle Mariners. Amaya, of course, our main catching prospect. We're going to play him in AAA this year, no doubt about it. Nick Pratto will probably spend the season in AAA as well. Yamada will at least be in the majors. And aside from that, Steve James is our main second base prospect right now, who we picked up as a free agent. He'll be in AA this year. Austin Riley is an interesting one. We could easily play him in the majors, and I think we might. I think it'll be good for him. More than anything, I think it'll be good for him. We'll play India in AAA, and then Apostle and Espinoza. We'll see. Espinoza is going to be the type of guy we're going to want to trade. He's not going to develop. Hell, at this point, Apostle isn't the worst guy to look to move on from either. The setup here, obviously, we have some prospects, and there are, I got to be honest, there are trade potential, trade possibilities here as it is. So again, catcher-wise, we're fine. We're not moving Amaya. Raleigh's a decent depth option for the season. Nick Pratto, I'm a little bit worried about his development, but for now, he can stay. He's at least still young enough. I mean, in terms of any prospects there, James can stay, obviously. It's at third, Apostle can stay, Espinoza is going to be moved on from. I mean, he's 11 points worse than Apostle, so we might as well see what we can get for Espinoza. Shortstop-wise, with Sanchez, 2 years older, 4 overall points better than Rodriguez. I'd like to think Rodriguez could make up that time. Not to mention with Marte and Poisson here, I think we could move on from Sanchez. Get a decent return from him now because the guys coming up through the system behind him are in a better spot. And we'll try to move Palario as well. So let me see if there is any teams that are willing to offer absolutely nothing. And I think it's because we have at least 1 or 2 players involved who are relatively new. Jimenez is going nowhere. Smith is in that interesting territory where he's 26 years old. And we obviously have some ridiculous talent coming up, including Cespedes, who I'm good to move because we have Davis and Dominguez right behind him. Hell, Kyler Murray could be moved on from, too. It might not be the worst idea. He's also on the 40-man, so it would make a lot of sense to get rid of him. Still no offers there, and I think it's because Espinoza is still new. I believe we just signed him as a free agent. This game kind of has built-in, you can't flip players that early protection. So, although still nothing. I would be very intrigued here if the AI just flat out says, nah, we're good. We're not going to give you anything. That would be pretty interesting. That honestly could be the case. What if we move on from Sanchez? Say we had Smith. Are you willing to deal now? Or are we just moving players too early? Do you have no interest in these prospects? No trades right now. Very interesting. I should be able to move Glass and Murray, though, right? And if we can't make moves, then that's fine. I mean, we fill out the roster. Maybe we look to make moves closer to the deadline and move on from a lot of these guys that we know aren't going to make it. And yes, we are still stuck with Jay Bruce. So you get a look at the roster. I mean, Mike Leake is still here for the year. I am going to fill out this roster 100%, and we will figure it out from there. Although, scouts. We do need to see if there are any better options. We also need to hire an East scout. Now, comparing Sewell and C, I mean, I'm going to give it to Sewell despite the crazy efficiency rating. So the best East scout right now, Greg Leifer. I mean, God, we're not going to be getting great pitchers out of the East is what I'm learning. I mean, let's go for Greg. Let's go for Greg. From the Central, do we have somebody better than Delgado? We do not. That is not the case. So Blake in the West, better efficiency for Kluka, better discovery, slightly weaker on position players, but Brock Kluka is going to be brought on. And then for our international scouts, good old Joey Bass. Joey dropping a base. Is not better than Sewell. So I will see you guys in a second. Let me finalize this roster, and the stage will be set for the beginning of Season 2 in the next episode. It took a little bit to get here. There's going to be one hell of a jump cut, but the roster is set for the 2020 Major League season. Jack Flaherty, as you can see, will be our ace, and of course we're going to go through the full roster. But just to get you a look at what this roster ended up being, we're perhaps not as lowly rated as you might have thought. Now, we had a hell of a lot of money to spend, and I put it to use to get some half-decent free agents. That said, we're still 26th in the league. We're not going to make the playoffs. There is no doubt about that. But to get you a look at the roster that we are running with this season, this is the rotation. Flaherty leading the way. Mike Leake, of course, still here. We signed Matt Schumacher, I think it's just Shoemaker, and Drew Pomeranz for the rotation. Gabriel Moya is also here. That is the top five. Max Pavust is leading the way as the long reliever right now, the 26-year-old. The bullpen is where some of the other money was spent. Now, Brandon Brannon is still here, as is Sam, very Pacific heritage. Because I don't want to say Samoan because it might not be Samoan, but you get the point, or Hawaiian for that matter. But Gregory Infante was brought on, Darren O'Day, Dan Altavia, of course, was still here, and Adam Liberatore is going to be the closer for this season. So a little bit of money spent on Liberatore, O'Day, and Infante, which isn't all that surprising. Down in AAA, it's going to be Justice Sheffield, Justin Dunn, Logan Gilbert, Miguel Cairo, or Manuel Cairo, not Miguel Cairo. That was a player from the Red Series, I think. And Bryce Wilson. I mean, 3 of the top 50 prospects are here, right? And I mean, you have Gilbert at a B potential, Cairo at a B potential at 19 years old, fresh out of the draft, and Wilson at a B potential at 22 years old. Braxton Ashcraft right now as the long reliever, although that could easily change. He's another B potential guy. Obviously, the bullpen has been decided via free agency. Norris, Pazos, Duke, Nashik, and Oliver Perez, my favorite. God, I loved Oliver Perez when he was a Pirate a long time ago. See, the golden age when MLB The Show was first starting and they were hungry to make changes to franchise mode instead of just abandoning the mode. That's right, I'm going to complain about that quite a bit. And then, of course, Pedro Rodriguez, who is an absolute beast. I'm so glad we got him in the last draft. And I'm actually really glad that the last draft went the way it did in terms of us getting prospects. Of course, we have some guys down here in AA. Sam Carlson, perhaps the most notable. But they do have some guys. I mean, that's a better than average AA bullpen for sure. So they should be relatively competitive. In terms of the lineup this year, this is what we are rolling with pretty much throughout, regardless of whether or not there's a DH. Smith at center field. Tetsudo Yamada, the starting second baseman. No real surprise there. Eloy Jimenez still there in left. DH is going to be Jay Bruce. Ubayashi takes a seat when we're not running a DH. Mark Reynolds was signed as our first baseman for the season, just because Austin Riley's going to get the chance to shine. It might be too much too soon, but we'll give him a chance. Ubayashi in right again when we have a DH. Freddie Galvis, we ended up signing at shortstop. And Brian McCann at catcher. The bench is Abraham Arturo, who is that D potential 18-year-old. Russell Martin signed as the backup catcher. Steve Pearce as another first base option. And Josh Van Meter, who was a free agent second baseman. Figured why not give him a shot? He's fairly well-rounded. And then, of course, the AAA and AA lineups aren't yet set, but you look at the talent down there. Kelenic Amaya, Jonathan India. We ended up signing guys like Kendrys Morales to help fill out the roster, Adrian Gonzalez. And then down in AA as well, Dominguez, Poisson, of course, Kyler Murray. There's quite a bit of talent. Nick Prado still there as well. I'll be intrigued to see what the full lineup ends up looking like. So top prospect-wise, Bo Bichette is number 1. Our first option comes at number 5. That is Justice Sheffield, who I was a little bit worried about. Kind of glad I held on to him, but we need to see some good development here over the next 2 years or so. Of course, we know we have plenty of options here. Next up is Austin Riley in the 20 spot. Kelenic there in the 26th spot at a 50. Not too bad. And then towards the back end, we'll get our other options here. Jonathan India is listed. And we actually have more options listed on the team view than we do here. So that's a little bit weird, but I'm not too concerned. So you can see why we're listed as the 26th rated team. Aside from that, though, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about the roster. Again, we're not going to be making the playoffs anytime soon, but we were able to pick up some veterans on relatively cheap deals to help fill out this roster and to at least make it so that this team is completely pounded into freaking a fine powder. And it might give us an option to flip some of these guys towards the deadline if they're performing at a pretty high level. So a decent mix of young talent for the future and the now, of course, and some veterans that we can't wait to get rid of. And thank God Jay Bruce's contract ends at the end of this year. Hallelujah. So with that, we are going to end things for now. Another relatively long episode again. Once we start moving ahead here now, I'm going to start, of course, using jump cuts a little bit more, but just so you guys can see, like, all right, just to answer the question of, oh, how do you handle this in terms of free agency or whatever? There you go. You have it all there in case you've never seen a series of mine before. We'll start getting a little bit heavier into the jump cuts, including in the next episode where it's pretty much a straight jump from the beginning of the season to the draft, and then from the draft to the All-Star break, we take it slow, and then, of course, we leave the episode with the question of, well, what the hell do we do? Is it going to be a big deadline for us? And with the roster being in the shape it's in, the answer to that is yes. So I will see you guys in the next one. Let me know. Did I have a decent enough offseason? Was the addition of Jack Flaherty not the right one to make? Of course, we had to give up a couple of decent players to do so, but he is just 24 years old and already our ace. Let me know what you're thinking about this team. How are we going to do in Season 2? Again, I'm not expecting to be decent whatsoever, nor do I want the team to be. But you never know. Overperformances have happened before. I'll see you guys in the next one. You know the deal, though. Check out everything in the description. If you haven't already, leave a like on the video, or I will threaten you with physical violence, as all the popular YouTubers do nowadays. And until next time, have a good one. Take it easy. I will see you then. Goodbye.